It looks like we are alive, going live anyway, here in Los Angeles. Thank you, JLP, rating the stream over on the Rumble crew. It's 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles. Wednesday, April 23rd, AD 2025. And we're going to have a fun, loosey-goosey, The Hake Report show with a co-host, Crishaun, the Dawn of the Misfit Nation. Looks like he's already here with us. So we're going to get going here pretty soon. But I want to make sure that we are live on all the platforms correctly before we get going. I am live on punchy.tv/Hake, as well as the BitChute live stream. And it looks like, yeah, YouTube, of course. Hello, YouTube people. I heard that the Misfit Nation channel got banned. And so it's the Misfit Nation podcast currently. Oh. Which one is his? Which one is his? Is it guitar? Is it bass guitar? Sorry, hold on. 13. 13. Oh, okay. That's bass guitar. Nice. They stopped numbering them at that point. Oh, and so you have it cranked? Does it need to be cranked?
It does not need to be cranked.
Okay, cool. Nice. Okay, so this is a little odd. I'm gonna do loud. Where's I can't read.
Which one are you trying to do?
I don't even see it. Oh, right here. Boom. Nope. Terrible. Complicated business, folks. Complicated business. So I go to media, right? No, palettes. Macros.
On your switch.
Oh, macros control.
Yeah, because you want two with guests with remote guests, not that one. So macros. 2 with remote guest or 2 with remote guest 100.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, nice, sweet. Let me see if Crishaun, if we can hear Crishaun. Crishaun, are you there? Crishaun, the Dawn of the Misfit Nation.
Yes, sir. I'm here. Boomer.
Yeah, total Gen X, Gen Y boomer. So nice. Well, tell the people what we're going to be talking about today. Crishaun, the Dawn of the Misfit Nation. Crishaun, the Dawn on X. The Misfit Nation podcast on YouTube. The Misfit Nation on Rumble. The Misfit Nation on X. Tell the people.
Well, real quick, Rumble. We're moving over to Rumble.
Okay.
Permanently.
Nice.
We actually made that decision before we got banned from YouTube.
Okay.
So YouTube was like, you can't quit, you're fired.
Right.
Yeah. So, we're over on Rumble at the Misfit Nation. Currently, just like as a little lifeboat, we're on our backup channel on YouTube for however long that lasts.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the Misfit Nation on really all platforms.
Sweet.
Today we'll be talking about this case that's captivated the nation, Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf, or as the blacks like to call him, Metcalf.
Terrible.
They can't get white last names right. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about that, sort of the racial aspect and the case itself. At least with the information we have at the time.
Right on. For some reason, I don't see I just disappeared my thing, and I can't see it. I can't see my Studio 8.
Uh-oh.
I dragged something over. Yeah, I dragged something over onto that desktop, and now I have no access to it. Is there another screen somewhere? No. What a mess. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. This is exciting stuff, guys. I'm learning.
Try dragging
What a
some
mess.
over again.
I don't have access to it anymore. Unless I open up a new tab. No, it won't even, I can't find it. Here, let me see. Where's the third thing?
I was about to say, where's
This
the
is
Anchor-
brutal. Anchor Baby's helping out.
You're looking for which one?
With the Anchor Baby, they did send their best.
They
huh?
just disappeared.
May I?
Yeah. See, nothing.
What the?
So you guys may be sick of hearing about Carmelo Anthony and what's his name? Oh, rest in peace, Austin Metcalf.
Say his name, Hake.
But I want to hear what Crishaun the Don has to say, and we will be welcoming your calls. Some of you guys are already on hold. 1-888-775-3773. There were a couple of super chats that did come in. I saw Gregatron. I saw. Oh, that may help. That may bring it back over to my screen.
I think you're good now.
Nice. How did you work this magic? Anchor Baby is a problem solver. Oh no! What did I just do? What a boomer.
And you're a problem starter, Hake.
Crishaun still see you?
You can still see me, right?
I can see you.
Okay, cool. Nice. Well, and you're gonna hear my talking too. What a mess. But that's okay. I kind of knew that. Anyway, guys. Oh, how do I change that thing?
Which one?
To be, this thing to be with Crishaun in the middle with me. Is that over in the palettes? Or is that can that be done in the Stream Deck thing? Oh, okay. Well, you did it.
It's key 1 and key 3.
Now I'm on the
Oh,
bench with-
okay.
The difference
And
between
then
key one-
will it do the,
Look, this is key 1,
will it get bigger?
this is key 3. Both key 1 and key 3 can get bigger and smaller.
Oh, sweet. Nice. Okay, so I turn off that,
Yeah.
and I turn that on,
Yep.
and then when I go like this, I say, oh, let's just get right on.
Exactly.
With, oh, will this thing stay? When I do this. Yeah. Nice. With the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine, and I have with me, and I'm happy to have him, Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation. That is so cool. And like you heard, he's migrating over to Rumble. You can, there is a Rumble user, and there's also a Rumble channel. I recommend you follow both, okay? Because Rumble sets itself up weirdly, and it can be potentially confusing. It happens to the best of us. So for both users and creators. And so, welcome, Crishaun. Thank you for bearing with us through the bumbling, stumbling Hake report intro. Thanks, man.
No worries. No worries. I have a lot of technical difficulties on my show, so I'm no one to judge.
Right on. So let's get started on this thing. What is your take on this track meet incident in which in Frisco, Tejas, a black young man was under the tent, I believe. You want to tell the story? You want to recount the story?
I mean, you can recount it real quick if you
Okay,
want.
a black young man was in the tent of a different team. I guess there were a bunch of different teams under different tents because it was raining, and this guy may have looked like he was looking for trouble or out of place or something, because Austin Metcalf, one of a pair of white twins, he confronted the guy and said, "Hey, get out of here! You don't belong here," and it got physical somehow. And the guy's like, according to the police report, touch me again and see what happens. He picked up his bag, and I guess he had a knife in that bag, and he produced the knife and stabbed the guy in the heart, and he bled out in his brother's arms. Dead. Terrible. And I believe that Carmelo Anthony with a K, Carmelo with a K, ran away. The police found him. He said, he put his hands on me. It was self-defense, but he's booked for, I believe, like murder. He's charged with murder, I believe. And there's a minister, Dominique Alexander, running his mouth because the whites have jumped on this and whites are racist. They're sick of the blacks and they're saying stuff that's not nice on the internet. And so Carmelo's family is all involved. The black female judge lowered his bail from $1 million to $250,000. He's out on house arrest, wearing an ankle monitor, I guess. These are 17-year-olds, I think. Or Austin, I believe, was maybe 17. And he was like an upstanding young man, supposedly, who knows. And Carmelo had been posing with like guns and things, I think, on social media. He was kind of although he had two parents, supposedly married and stuff, he wasn't seemingly well raised in that he didn't present himself well on the internet. And his family's not presenting themselves well either. And the dad, Austin's dad, is being all, oh, it's not about race. And then there's whites who are like, protect the whites. And Austin's dad is condemning that. And Austin's dad even tried to show up to the press conference with the black family, I guess, to try to pray with them and be, oh, unity, let's get along. And he got thrown out and was called disrespectful in the world. So it's basically it's kind of a typical white-black interaction, except to the extremes and on a very public scale. And so, did I miss anything there?
No, I think you pretty much nailed it.
Yeah. I'm impressed.
The only thing I would say is at the end, I think it is a little, I wouldn't say it's as typical as most stories that we've seen, because
interaction in terms of confrontation. But go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking like the aftermath that we're seeing with the the political side of this, the white black thing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like white people did kind of jump on this first. Yeah. And that's the first time I ever saw that, where white people jumped on a racial thing.
Yeah.
First.
Yep.
So that's where I kind of go, like, I don't know if this is as typical as we think it is. And I've been, for years at this point, I've been coming on your show and warning white people about holding on to this white identity thing, because it's just going to push you into the same place that it pushed black people.
Yeah.
And a lot of white people have been arrogant about that and going like, well, no, we're not going to be the same. We're this, we're that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in reality, look what it's doing. It really is starting to go that route, where I'm starting to look at this whole case as everybody is now being played by race hustlers. And that's everybody, white and black. Because the white race hustlers are now coming out and creating this thing where it's like they're the new Al Sharpton for white people, and they're going to do White Lives Matter rallies. And, that's where they get into, they were like kind of insulting the father and saying that he was being a weak white man because he wasn't angry and showing outrage and all that stuff. And it's kind of like the father honestly has been to me the most like he's been kind of like very forgiving, in that as a Christian I have to respect it, you know what I mean, where he isn't flipping out. And I don't think he's doing it where he's making blackness more important than his son's life. I think I just understand where he doesn't want his son to be attached to this, like, to be a martyr for the white race. You get what I mean? I don't know what his reasoning is. I don't know if he's a liberal. I'm pretty sure he kind of shows signs that he is a liberal, but personally, I'm looking at the case, right? And let me just say this first. I do believe Karmelo is it's going to be first degree murder because he did show signs of premeditation where he stepped back, said, touch me again, and you'll see what happens, reaches in the bag.
Yeah.
That's literally premeditation. Premeditation doesn't mean you sat around and plotted on a murder for 3 months and then finally did it. It could be 30 seconds before it happens, 10 seconds before it happens. You can premeditate a murder.
Now,
So
let me stop you there. Do you think that he intentionally killed him, or did he? Because I believe he intentionally stabbed him. I think that's pretty obvious.
yeah.
But most of the time, a stabbing isn't a murder, and if you've never stabbed somebody, which most of us haven't, you don't really think about where you're stabbing and how deadly that can be.
Well, they say a hand-to-hand combat with a knife is the most dangerous. They're like, you're never gonna win that.
Yeah, true.
There's no, like, even if they'll show you like jujitsu moves that you
No,
can
but
do.
most of the time you survive a knife attack, though. Most knife attacks, people survive. I think.
Getting stabbed like in the heart, that's like a really like he'd have to be like almost a trained assassin to get that perfectly. You know what I mean? Like where he's
Is it?
stabbing
That's
in a combat kind of thing.
Right.
Now, my point is this: I don't know. We could speculate on it, but this is all like I'm just saying what they can make arguments for in court.
Yeah,
Right?
if he's committing a crime by and the guy dies, it is murder. I think it is murder at that point. You're facing a murder charge. Yeah.
It's
'Cause
just a matter of
yeah.
what the degree of murder it is. Now,
Yeah.
originally when I didn't have all the information, we didn't have the police reports that came out. I thought the first degree murder charge was a little weird
Yeah.
because I was like, this sounds more like a
Heat of the
second
moment.
degree
Right.
heat of the moment. Yeah, manslaughter even maybe.
Right. Because if it was like a mutual combat, then it could be like
Right.
more like a manslaughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I then read the police report and there was that in the altercation before the actual physicality took off, there was the thing of him stepping back, saying, touch me again, see what happens, reaching into the bag. That's literally like that's as literal as you can get with premeditation.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he also admitted to a police officer right after that he did stab the kid. Like there's no mix up here on the Karmelo side of things. Like he definitely did this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more than likely first degree murder. Also, here's another thing, because I'm just trying to be truthful in how like in what the narrative is and what I believe the truth to be, because he also did show some kind of regret for it in the police report.
That's what I heard.
He does ask,
like, is he okay?
Yeah.
He put his hands on me. It was self-defense. That one is more like a typical sort of denial.
Right.
But you're right. I that's why I felt like he was a little naive. Is he okay?
Well, in reality, if you were to strip away all the racial sides of this, all the the elements of it, in reality, we would all just hear this story and go, that was just two young men that both got caught up in their pride and their ego, and things just went out of hand. And pride is the deadliest sin.
Yeah.
And what I mean by Austin getting caught up in his ego is he started the confrontation. Even his brother admits that. Everybody admits that he's the one that went up to Karmelo and told him he needs to move.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So what I'm saying is I don't understand, because there's a lot of like these again white race hustlers. I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt because they called out black race hustlers, so they should know better. They keep like ignoring the fact that Austin did start the confrontation. And they won't really like get into that. I notice that every time I argue with somebody or anytime I hear somebody tell the story, it's just like this black kid walked up to him and stabbed him for no reason. It's like, that's not what happened here.
Was he wrong to start the confrontation?
I don't think it was necessarily his place. I don't think it's like have castle doctrine over a school tent. You get what I mean? Now,
Yeah.
the story would have to be, in order for me to, like, me personally, I'm not saying the courts or whatever, I'm just saying me personally, in order for me to go, okay, I get why Austin went and started the confrontation, is if Karmelo was acting weird, or even like kind of looking at people in a menacing way, or something like that, where it's like, okay, like I get, like, okay, I don't know this kid, why is he here? But is it on another student to go and confront that other student to move away from that tent? Or is that why we have coaches and chaperones and, parents and stuff, that he could have went and said, hey, listen, this kid, I don't know who he is.
I don't know, man. I think it's quite normal for, and not even necessarily wrong for, an athlete. I've been on like track teams and stuff, and there's always like a guy who just assumes a leadership role and a young man's role, and kind of directs people when they're out of place. And it's become common for black young guys to kind of be where they don't belong and sort of impose. And I don't think that Austin necessarily was wrong in confronting the guy and saying, get out of here, because I don't take away that it may have been ego, and it may well have been, and it, but it's normal for like a young man to take charge of like a situation in his area and not like go tattle on the teacher and go wait around for something to happen or whatever. And it's,
yeah, you do, but on a team thing, that's more of like you in between your own team.
no, you deal with other people, like somebody who's out of place. And
No, I get that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is there's also a thing of like being confrontational, because I'm very confrontational.
Right.
So I had to learn, like, okay, sometimes I do go at people and I don't realize how confrontational and how aggressive I sound.
Yeah.
Right. So I do have to like evaluate and say, all right, I have to go at things a certain way, especially if I'm going to tell somebody, and I work in security, so I know all about this.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell another person, hey, you have to move. You can't be here.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So there's a way of going about that. Like, even if I'm right, that I have to go about that without it escalating.
True. And especially with a guy who's going to escalate to the point that he's going to stab you in the heart. Austin definitely could have done something differently. I don't know what it was. I don't know what he did. But yeah, I am for victim blaming, and I am for being wise and cunning in how you confront, if you confront at all.
Yeah, and let me just be clear. None of this is a justification for him getting stabbed in the heart.
Right.
What I'm saying is I'm trying to add some context to the story that a lot of people that are claiming to be truth tellers aren't telling you.
Yeah.
And it's purposely designed to make you angry about the situation.
Yeah.
Because you do add the context of Austin started the confrontation. It pulls away a little bit of your anger. You're not gonna go, okay, then he deserves to get stabbed in the heart. You're just gonna go, okay, there's a little more to this than black kid just walks up to white kid and stabs him in the heart for being white. And it's like that. He didn't get stabbed for being white. He got stabbed because he confronted somebody, and I don't know how he confronted him. That's the part of the context we need to know too.
Yeah.
How did he go about the confrontation?
Right.
Because if he was very polite and nice, and then the black kid jumps up and goes, I ain't going nowhere, and this, I could believe that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's not plausible.
Right.
But we can't arrive to that without deciding without acknowledging the context that Austin did start the fight. And white people get really angry about that when you talk about this. I guarantee you're going to have calls that are going to get mad that I said that.
You're welcome to call in 1-888-775-3773. Can't you say, though, that the guy started it by being in the wrong place in the first place? And isn't it typical of them to do that sometimes? Be where they don't belong and have an attitude.
If he wasn't a track runner that was competing in the event that he was at, then I'd say, okay, yeah, he was just there looking for trouble, looking to probably stab somebody. The fact that there is context to why he was there. You even said it. He was sitting under the tent because it was raining.
Yeah. But that,
Um,
but that's it. Doesn't make sense. I've never. Well, it hasn't really rained when I was at track meets and stuff. But I've never gone to the other teams or even felt comfortable going to another team's area. And I don't
when
get
you,
how he was so comfortable doing that.
now this is all anecdotal, but
Yeah.
when you've gone to track meets, did you just stay under your tent the entire time until it was time to compete, and then you
Other
went
than
back to
yeah,
and waited there?
other than warming up and going to the bathrooms and drinking fountains and stuff,
Yeah.
you go to other parts of the course or different parts of the track to, but never like to another person's tent. It's
Well,
like so
here's another
foreign.
thing though. Now add the context that it was raining.
Yeah,
I've seen plenty of times. I don't do this because I'm a man. When
right.
it starts raining, they run under a piece
Yeah,
of shelter.
exactly.
It's kind of like it's
Right.
rain. A lot of people do that though. They'll just run
Yeah.
under the first piece of shelter they can find
Right.
until the rain subsides. Like
We
again,
covered a
like
story on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and I'm thinking about how blacks often are where they don't belong. Like this black guy was standing on a old lady's porch waiting for the Uber, and she starts yelling at him and saying, "You don't belong here," and I'm gonna call 911. And he's giving her lip about him trespassing on her property, making her uncomfortable. She doesn't know what type of person this is, and so it's so common for these guys to be like this. So
yeah.
what a mess.
But that's a totally different context to
I know.
the track runner. He's sitting under a tent for track runners. It might not have been his tent, but like again, there's a lot of context to it.
Yeah.
It's not that's just some Negro that doesn't want to move from a place that he's supposed to
Right.
because he heard a white person tell him he needs to move.
Yeah.
Again, that could also be the context of Carmelo, that
Yeah.
a white guy told him to move and he's not going to move.
Yeah.
Um,
We just
However-
don't know what was in it, in either of their minds or how they really behaved.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. However, I find it that black people, they don't care who tells them to move. They get mad at it no matter what. It could be
Yeah.
another black person. It's just like killing. Black people kill indiscriminately. I find it sometimes a little harder to like make the racial argument when it is a black person killing a white person because they're so indiscriminate with their killing.
Right. Good point. Yeah.
Yeah, like they kill themselves more than anybody
Yep.
in the world.
That's a fact,
So
man.
it's like it's kind of like you have to judge it on sadly on different standards as far as the cultural thing.
Yeah.
But you don't hold them to the different standard. You just have to look at it and go like that is what it is. Like I also though, like I'm just saying I don't anybody that's gonna like argue with me on this, I'd like them to first tell me what evidence is there in this case that this was racially based. Like even Carmelo didn't say anything racial when he
Right.
did it.
Well, blacks are clever. They won't say something like that, or they'll kind of speak in code. Now, or when they even make threats in code. Now, since they've been talking, though, all the talk on both sides has been racial. The mother talking, I've never heard a word from the father. The minister, Dominique Alexander, dirtbag, total like racial thing. Oh, I live it every day in Trump's America, being black in America. That phony victimhood has been all they talk about. And that's not a good example to Karmelo or his little sister or whoever else is around. And the whites are kind of telling the truth about how black on white crime is disproportionate, and the black on white aggression and blaming is out of control. And I know that you agree with that. It's a mess, though.
Yeah. But then that's where we get into this place of where a lot of white people are not trying to make the argument that like it's genetic. You know what I mean? And I don't
Like
think
the
that
black violence, it comes from their genes. You're
their
saying.
genes. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. And I'm fine with theorizing on that.
Right.
But I think it's like almost giving them an out. Like they can't help it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the white people that say it, I think, are just trying to be more insulting than anything, than theorizing and whatever. And again, that's fine if you want to be insulting, but like to sit there and like say that like they can't help themselves. I think they can. I think they can learn how to be part of this society. They just have to let go of their racial identity
Yeah.
and
And come back to a family. Come back to families,
yeah.
fathers and stuff.
Well, look at what one of the biggest things that the whole black racial identity did is that it made it where black people cannot take criticism,
Yeah.
constructive criticism whatsoever, because they automatically see it as racism.
Yep.
So it's like it's funny because then I see when I start making my arguments towards the white racial identity, white people have the same problem. When you criticize the white identity, they can't take criticism. When I go like, listen, your illegitimacy rates are rising too. You're not having two parent households
And
as
not
much
having
as
enough
you do.
babies.
Not having enough babies,
Yep.
and then they'll victimize themselves.
Right.
Oh,
It's
we're not
terrible.
allowed to have baby. It's like you do what you want.
It's a huge mess, man. Society has been set up to encourage dysfunctional blacks and whites.
Let me make this one more point because I totally agree with what you just said, and this is where I think it's getting into a bad place for white people. They're starting to make this argument a lot more, where they're saying that white people aren't being treated fairly by the law, by the criminal justice system, right?
Right.
And then they'll make the argument, and again, black people did the same exact thing. They'll share a meme where it's two different cases, two unrelated cases of a white guy and a black guy. And they'll go, white guy murders two people and gets sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Black guy murders two people and gets 12 years. The criminal justice system is unfair to white people. And what I'm looking at is that no, the criminal justice system is actually, in this case, is actually very fair to white people. It's the fact that they're treating black people less harsh. They're giving them lighter sentences.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that white people are getting treated unfair, because a white guy that murders two people should go to prison for life. So should the black guy who murders two people.
Right.
So it gets into this weird place of now you're going into like where, let's say Karmelo gets 25 years or something like that.
You
Or
think
he
he'll
gets-
get that much? But
I'm just saying,
go
I'm
ahead.
just
Yeah.
theorizing. Let's say he gets 15. Let's say he gets whatever he gets. No matter what he gets, white people and the white race hustlers are not going to be happy.
I think that's true.
They've set that up already.
Yeah. You set yourself up to be angry and outraged.
And that the criminal justice system is unfair to white people, because then it gets into this weird place that eventually, and I've been very accurate on this whole thing so far, eventually that gets into the place of where white people are going to start defending their criminals. They're going to start defending and protecting their criminals.
Oh boy.
Like black people did, because they're going to think, oh, well, he's being treated unfair. That's where the race hustlers come in. That's how an Al Sharpton is able to get criminals lighter sentences or get them completely off on their charges.
That's a mess.
Yeah. It's just a bad place to go. Like because then I have to ask people, if you're making that argument, what is your argument? That you think black people should get harsher sentences, or are you saying that white people should get lighter sentences? Because a lot of them I think are coming from that place that they think that white people should just get lighter sentences the way that black people do.
In some cases, whites are getting harsher sentences than they should. They're getting falsely convicted, I think. Like Derek Chauvin, for example. I don't think that was a legitimate trial. I think
Totally
that
agree.
it was because he was white, and because George Floyd was black, and because they wanted to do like a public lynching of a white cop. because it looked too tough what he did. It looked to me it looked maybe a little overboard. I'm not sure. But yeah, you could say, oh, maybe it was a little overboard. And that's enough even conceding that is enough for them to just push all the way and go crazy. And George Zimmerman never should have been tried for murder, for anything, really. The police let him off because they knew that it was a self-defense case, that they had no case. So I think that there is definitely an attack on the whites. But you raise an interesting point because they are lionizing people who've committed assassinations and murders and things. The guy who made the 14 words, you've heard of the 14 words? That guy, according to what I read on Wikipedia, if that's to be believed, he participated in an assassination on a Jewish journalist. So like you are right that they are siding with their criminals. And I'm not talking about January 6th fake criminals. I'm talking about real terrorist types, people who feel like they have to be terrorists in their own country.
Well, that's what's going to happen. That's where race hustling comes in, is that there's going to be real stories.
Yeah.
People who did get, wrongly convicted and January 6th and all that. And then somebody who isn't that is going to jump in and go, hey, me too, I'm white. And then then people are going to defend him. And then they're going to because they're going to fall for the emotional heartstrings that's going to be pulled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this whole story, I'm with you. I think it's a sad story, Carmelo and Austin. But it's like when they tell the story and they're like, he died in his twin brother's arms. It's like, okay, what is that? Like, you're just trying to make me feel something. Like I already feel what I'm supposed to feel on this.
Right.
Like, don't make me try to feel more than I need to. It's like it's not making me sadder about the situation.
Yeah.
So, but it works on people. That's the problem.
It
does work.
It makes me think of your conversation about this makes me think of these cases where, a black will get pulled over for expired tags or something, and they will escalate the confrontation, and they'll die or get arrested and spend time in jail or commit suicide in jail or whatever. Sandra Bland did. And they say, oh, they got all of this all over not turning on your blinker, or all over not having your tags up to date. But no, it's not over that. It's over what you did to make that situation go sideways. And I agree with you. I am for victim blaming on some level so that we don't get more Austin Metcalfs. They know not to confront the black, and to know that these blacks, a lot of them are touchy, and people in general are touchy and angry and violent and vicious. And so, like you've learned with the security thing, be wise in how you deal with people.
Well, here's the thing in security, and I don't expect a 17-year-old kid to really get this, because and that's another thing. Like, 17-year-old white boys aren't like, these angelic, polite, well-mannered kids that like how everybody are trying to like say they are.
No, young men
push
each other around. They get physical. Yeah. They have egos, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm all for that in the sense of like that's how men kind of figure out their way in the world.
Right.
Like it's like bullying. Like I think bullying is a good thing.
Yeah.
It helps us figure out our place.
Right.
In the world. What was the point I was saying? I'm sorry.
About Austin and security.
Oh yeah. Here's another thing. It's like, maybe like you got to think of like if somebody steps back, reaches into their bag and says, touch me and see what happens. Like maybe at that point you go and tell a teacher,
right?
You go and tell a security guard, you tell somebody. Like I think that guy might have a weapon.
Or
like,
you back up and you just say, stay there.
Yeah,
you stay there, I'll stay here.
At this point, I don't have a knife. Or I don't have a weapon.
Yeah.
Like that's where
that's a good point. That was a warning. That was a warning. It was a threat, and he should have heeded that warning, not to touch him. He was asking him to touch him again, but and he claimed that he told him not to, but he did tell him. Technically speaking, he did tell him to touch him.
It's one of two things. I think Austin was either like really amped up and caught up in this moment,
Yeah.
or he just didn't have survival skills. His father didn't teach him survival skills.
Interesting point.
Like when a guy reaches into his bag or into his pocket and tells you, "Don't touch me,"
Yeah.
he's probably gonna do something off. Don't touch the guy.
Yeah. Interesting, man.
And if Austin did that, then Carmelo would be in jail right now for bringing a knife. Maybe not. That's where we get into again. They'd probably give him a light sentence on that.
Yeah. Wow, you brought up his father didn't teach him how to deal with people, how to deal with situations like that or stand up for himself. It's interesting how his father is handling this situation. And I don't know, man. He does seem, to me, he seems like he's being a little, or maybe even a lot, weak. I don't see him necessarily as a liberal. I haven't paid close attention to everything that he's said. I just heard bits and pieces of different things. He seems like a Gen X boomer, Christian, trying to be nice, believes in the racism thing, falls for the racism thing, and doesn't want any part of the race thing. Thinks if he leaves race out of it, that will be more peacemaking than not. And so because of him falling for the race thing, he kind of defaults to being more anti-white and pro-black. And that's why he's more gracious to the blacks and more condemning of the whites, when he should be kind of firm with both and himself, I think.
How did he condemn whites, though?
The whites had their rally. I don't know if you heard over the weekend. The
White Lives Matter with Jake Lang.
Yeah, Jake Lang, who
White Al Sharpton.
I've heard that he's Jewish and not normal white. I don't know. He was a January 6er, and he seems sort of like a grandstander, but whatever. I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion for or against him. He's doing activism, which he thinks he should be doing that. And I heard him on the phone with him. A black guy called him on the phone and put him on speakerphone with Jake Lang at this protest. And Jake Lang is getting told off. "You're part of the effing problem," said the father to Jake Lang. And I didn't hear him talking about this minister Dominique Alexander in that way. Maybe he would. I don't know. But he's much more wanting to be peacemaking, whereas he's more cussing out the whites and trying to distance himself. "Take my son's picture off your website." I understand that feeling, because all these outsiders want to take up your personal cause for their racial and political cause. I understand it's a weird feeling, but he seems like he is trying to stay far away from the pro-white victimhood, martyr cause. And so it just feels like, and he's like, it's not a race thing, it's a human thing. Yeah, it is a human thing, but human beings are caught up with race big time. And blacks in particular are caught up with it, and whites are too. And he kind of is caught up with it by trying to hide from it, it feels like to me.
That's fair. I mean, he did get kicked out of the press conference.
Yeah, because he tried to go there and be like a peacemaker, wanted to pray with them. They projected their disrespect on him as though he was the disrespectful one when they were. Go ahead.
I get where you're coming from. Yeah. That he had a lot more anger towards the white movement than he did the black movement.
Yeah. So
I get where you're coming from. It does show the signs of that. I just do also, I catch this a lot, and this is why I asked, is because I don't fall into the white thing and I don't accept white identity, a lot of people try to call me a liberal for that.
Right.
And they think that I'm just I'm afraid of blacks.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't do it. And I'm like, I'm coming from a different aspect, so that's why I asked the question.
No, yeah. I just wonder if Austin, young men kind of start to distance themselves from their fathers. Sometimes they get close again by the point of Austin's age. I don't know. I don't know if he was trying to rebel against his father's kind of fake, in my opinion, maybe peacemaking. I don't know if it's fair for me to call him a fake peacemaker, but it seems like he's a sort of a weaker wannabe peacemaker. And so Austin is maybe trying to rebel against that. I have no idea. But when you brought up Austin not learning from his father, I'm just wondering what that relationship was like.
That's a good question, actually.
Yeah.
Because that does happen a lot where, teenagers do rebel against their father and what.
And
what
they want to
taught
be
them.
tough, whereas their father is like a lame-o.
Yeah.
You start to judge your family when you're an adolescent. I don't know. It seems like. I remember I did. I started to judge my family come like 7th, 8th grade and into high school. I had a lot of respect and admiration and wanted to impress my father, but there was also a separation and a little opposition between us. There was definitely friction.
Yeah.
Wanting to be different from your family.
And then I had this where my dad, because I'm the first generation born here, Anchor baby.
Yeah. You could be president, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Maybe. Or you could get it rescinded. Your citizenship.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I definitely get into college. Yeah, and I had the thing of where my dad, because he grew up in Jamaica, so he grew up on basically a third world island, and I'm growing up in America,
right?
The greatest nation on earth. So we had like a really different difference in culture. Excuse me. And there was times where I had to tell my dad, like, listen, you're an American. Speak up. We could talk.
Interesting.
You can have a gun.
That's true. Immigrants are always very humble, maybe perhaps overly humble, and their children are always defiant, Americanized, spoiled, and hate the police. Whereas the immigrants love the police and think that the police are good. Immigrants' children.
I had that same thing, Hake. When I went through my teens and early 20s, I was just like that. And then I learned but there was a balance. It's like you said, there was a point where my family was a little too humble, too almost pushovers.
Right.
And I had to find the balance in that of I'm not gonna be overbearing and be aggressive, but I'm not gonna be a pushover.
Somebody in the chat was asking if you were gonna threaten us again. I think he means because you showed the gun, your first appearance. That's funny, man.
Yeah, I love guns. Guns are fun.
There is one line open, guys. How about we get to calls, Crishaun the Don?
Yes.
If that works for you. I want to get to Mark in Los Angeles, who's on the line over here. Mark, thank you for calling and holding your live with Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation podcast.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Crishaun?
Hey, Mark. Long time no hear.
Okay, first, before I get started, I wanted to say that the father of Austin, Metcalf, is a guilt-ridden white man, and I have no love or pity for him. Sorry,
hey, Mark, do you ever think for yourself, or do you just repeat the same things you hear other people say?
I didn't hear anybody say it. Nobody said that to me. I'm telling you from the heart. The guy's a white, liberal, guilt-ridden father. Sorry, not sorry.
Do you think he's a liberal or more like a rhino? Because I don't see him as a liberal. I just see him as a normie white Gen X boomer. You guys Crishaun said maybe perhaps liberal too, but I haven't really seen that necessarily. I mean, liberal in the sense of sort of rhino-ish.
He does claim to be a Christian.
Yeah.
Mark, before you start, I want you to explain to me what evidence there is in this case this is a racially based murder.
I didn't particularly say that, but I do believe it was. Because you don't stab somebody in the heart when you're at fault and he's black and you're white. You know what's going on. Yeah, and another thing, 100 years ago, if something like this happened, there would be swift justice. okay? Because we don't have swift justice for black on white crime, it continues, and it's going to get worse because they've already made a millionaire practically out of this guy's family. You have a black woman judge who cut the bail 3/4 of the way to let him go, and you're going to sit there and tell me there's no racial angle to this? What about Rittenhouse?
No. That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
He said he's talking about the crime itself.
No double standard? What?
The crime itself, Mark.
Can you
To the
speak up,
point of
please?
why are like this is why I'm asking. This is why it's relevant. Because why are you guys all so emotional about this case being a racial thing when there's no evidence that this was a racially based crime? I could agree with you on the aftermath and how people are treating it, and Dominique, whatever his name is, I could agree with all that. But the crime itself, can you just answer that and then we'll move on?
My call isn't to say that I have evidence that it was a race hate case. I never said it. I believe it, but I don't have evidence. But just wait for it to come out, okay? Secondly,
Fair.
Can I jump in before you get to your second? Because you said that the father is a guilt-ridden white liberal. Why do you what makes you say that he's guilt-ridden? What did he do? What did he say?
Well, the conversation he had with Mr. What is it, Lane or Lake, whatever?
Yeah, the white guy. Oh, you guys are part of the effing problem, you whites.
Yeah. Right. But here's what I wanted to ask Crishaun.
Wait. Can I ask a follow-up on that?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Name me a white race hustler.
Jake Lane.
He's not a race hustler.
Okay, let's get into part of that conversation between Jake Lang and the father, and see where the father may be white guilty and where the Jake Lang may be a race hustler.
And the race,
there are no white race hustlers. To give you a
somewhat vague answer, anybody who is ignoring the facts of the case and then going directly to this white kid is angelic and, oh my God, he didn't do anything wrong.
Well, you tell me what the kid do wrong. I think you suffer from white guilt. To make a statement like that, I think you suffer from that illness as well.
This, again, though, Hake, listen, and Mark, right now you're just a specimen that me and Hake are talking about. Did my camera go out?
Yeah, but I can hear you still. You can fix that as you
I can barely hear him, Hake.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what we can...
All right, give me 1 second. Let me fix my camera.
He's fixing his camera.
No, I understand. But name one race hustler, and Mr. Lane is not one. He's reacting to something which he has a right to do, and be
Hold on, Mark.
Give me a break. If that isn't white guilt, I don't know what is.
Mark, this is why what you're saying is a bunch of nonsense, because
nothing
I'm literally a person that you've seen come on this show and piss off the entire black side of the audience, and I don't care. So to sit there and claim that I have white guilt is completely ridiculous. I have enough of a track record.
If you're saying white race hustler, I ask you to name one.
Literally on this show, I said more that would piss off black people. You're just mad that I'm now pissing off white people. You're just mad that I don't
answering the question.
You're being emotional about it.
You're not answering the question.
Tied. What's the question?
Name a white race hustler.
I just did, and I said anybody who is saying Matt Walsh, who is going around acting like this kid didn't actually start the confrontation. Like anybody that's lying about the facts of the case based on their race is a race hustler. I don't care if it's black or white.
Metcalf
I'm based, Mark. I'm based.
You're saying that Metcalf started it?
Yeah, by walking up to him and saying, "Hey, you got to get out of here."
Oh, so he deserves to die for that.
No,
that's white guilt,
what I said.
Crishaun.
He didn't say that.
That's not what I said. See, again, you're being an emotional woman about it.
I'm just telling. The kid got stabbed in the heart. It wasn't an accident. Yes. He wasn't defending himself. And if you put that out, you're just as evil as the Negroes that are sending this guy money.
You just put that out. I didn't say that. I didn't say that one time on the show. I literally said that Karmelo is guilty of probably guilty of first-degree murder. I'm going to say probably just because we live in America and there's trials. But he admitted to it. Like it's first-degree murder. What do you want me to say? You want me to be emotional about it. That's your problem. You're mad that I'm not
No,
emotional.
when you call good people race hustlers and compare them to Sharpton, that's about as low as you can go.
Okay, if that's how you feel. You're a race
Am I
hustler too, though,
wrong?
Mark. Mark, let me ask you a question. What do you think?
Would you put Jake Lang? I don't know Jake Lang,
I
but
don't
would you
either.
put Matt Walsh on the level of Al Sharpton?
No.
Absolutely not.
No, I'm
But-
asking Crishaun.
I
Oh,
put
I'm
them.
sorry.
I almost put them at a worse place because they call out Al Sharpton for the same thing they're doing now. They're hypocrites.
Oh,
I haven't
they're-
really
oh,
seen
oh,
what Matt Walsh has said, but I
They're
can
not-
imagine that
they're
he's
not-
just been talking about, the attack on whites.
How many
I don't know.
millions does
They're
Walsh
painting
owe the
this as
IRS?
he was there was no confrontation and the Karmelo walked up to him and basically stabbed him for no reason. And then they're going, he got stabbed because he's white. I heard Matt Walsh say that. Like it's
Well,
like
I agree with
it's not
that.
what it is.
I agree with that.
I know you agree with it, Mark.
And I'm not a race hustler.
You are
I'm
a race
realist.
hustler.
I know I'm
You're
a
the OG
white
race
racial
hustler, my friend.
realist.
Let me ask you a question, Mark. And I'm a truth teller. I don't care about race. What do you
I don't
think?
believe that.
What do you think Carmelo's like? What should happen to Karmelo after this?
I'd give him the death penalty, and I'll tell you why. Because
Okay.
if you don't, more of these savages are going to kill us, and they're going to say whatever this clown is saying, and then they're going to raise money, and guys like you are going to say, well, let him have a trial. Well, I say he should have a trial, but,
Why should he
white
have a
race
trial?
hustlers and all this nonsense, it's just going to continue. 100 years ago, these interracial crimes weren't committed black on white 100 years ago because they would have been brought to justice.
So Mark,
But
Mark,
here,
if he
in
doesn't,
today's society, we have a crooked criminal justice system. Rittenhouse, the officer Chauvin, those guys are.
Mark,
Rittenhouse
stop.
was never convicted,
Stop.
thank God. The other guys in jail. That's your double standard. You asked for a double standard. I just gave it to you.
okay. So you're saying that if he doesn't, in your eyes, if he doesn't get the death penalty, then the criminal justice system is racist against white people.
No, what I said, it would be a deterrent to further black on white outright murders. That's
Okay,
what I'm
so
saying.
even though the Supreme Court outlawed the death penalty for minors,
Well, he could be tried as an adult. Okay, if legally
Yeah, but they're not-
he
they-
can't
they
be
don't-
put to death, and you're asking me what would I do with him, then it would have to be, on a legal sense, life in prison. I
okay,
forgot
see,
about
this,
the
this
age
is my
thing.
point. No, this is my point. The Supreme Court also ruled out life in prison for minors.
Oh, that's too bad then.
Okay,
I don't
so
know.
my point is this:
It's-
is before I just educated you on that, you were ready to make
I'm
an
taking you
emotional.
at your
Hold
word.
on. You were ready to make an emotional decision on your entire worldview or your entire view on America, the American justice system, and you were just uneducated. You didn't know that he couldn't get the death penalty or life in prison. You would have been
I
mad,
happened to forget
and
he
you
was
wouldn't have
17.
known why you were even mad.
Oh, okay, so you got me on a technicality. You want to split hairs? If you want to know what I would do with that guy, he wouldn't
It's
be
literally
allowed.
it's literally the entire point of the conversation is what's going to happen to Carmelo. What's he going to
Well,
get?
if you just said
You
they
were-
can't
you
put
were
him to
ready to-
death,
It's a
if you're
technicality.
telling
All right,
me,
all right, I'm
no,
technical.
wait a minute. If you're telling
Sorry,
me,
I'm truthful and I understand the law. Go ahead.
no, if you're saying legally they can't enforce the death penalty, then I can't say that's what he should get. But you asked me, what do I think he should get? That's what I think
No.
he should get.
Then you took it into a place of because it's a deterrent for other blacks to not kill white people.
Yes.
If he doesn't
I
get
said
that, then
100
blacks are just
years
going to be
ago,
killing white people.
You
You're-
didn't see this
made
100
an
years
entire.
ago.
Hold on, you're not letting me talk, Mark. I let you talk.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
You were ready to make your entire emotional decision, and you were ready to actually make a decision on your anger based on you not knowing something. It's called ignorance. You're ignorant.
No,
Mark.
no. You
You're
asked me
ignorant.
what would I do, and I told you what I would do.
No, I asked
I
you what do
didn't-
you
I
think
forgot
should
that he was
happen. No.
17.
I didn't ask you what
Sorry.
you should do. I asked you what do you think should
No,
happen
no.
to
You
Carmelo.
said what would I do, and
I
I
asked you
said
what do
I
you
would
think
give him
should
a death
happen to
penalty.
I know what I asked. I asked you what do you think should happen to Carmelo? And you said the
Okay, I
death
think
penalty.
you should get death. Does that answer your question?
Yes. So you're wrong.
Thank
you're wrong
you.
about the entire thing. You're angry
Well,
for
okay,
no
you want
reason.
to trip me up on some legal garbage. I'm just
Legal
answering you
garbage. Okay.
the most honest way that I know
Legal
how.
garbage.
Right on.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you, Mark. I
exactly legal.
appreciate it, man.
Legal garbage is
Thank you.
exactly what the black activists call it. They think the legal system is garbage. And then we don't have a system. We don't have law enforcement. We don't have a society. Good job, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Savage.
Take care. Man, interesting. I better get to these calls, otherwise I won't be able to plow through them. I'm tempted to converse more on this.
Go ahead. Do whatever you want.
William in California is on the line over here. William, thank you for calling. You're live with Crishaun, the Dawn of the Misfit Nation, and I'll have to get to your super chats as well, guys. Go ahead.
Hey, James.
Hey.
How you doing, Crishaun?
Hey, William.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear him?
Can you kind of, yeah. He needs to mix it a little better. Maybe turn it.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything we can do on our end because we have them up to the max.
Do I need to turn?
Yeah.
Let me see if you can turn mine up more.
Yeah, if you can crank yours on your end,
Yeah.
Crishaun.
I don't
How's
know what
that?
it sounds like to everybody else, but I know it just
That
comes
louder?
from the call. It's
That
a
better?
little low.
That might be better.
Yeah, that might be. That's a little better.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Let's just kind of look at this thing on the common sense level. I think Carmelo-Anthony's burden of responsibility started when he left his parents' house with a knife in his back.
Yeah,
And
that's crazy.
Fair.
The other kid, is that fair, Crishaun?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think
fair?
that is a really important question on why was he carrying a knife. I think that's more important of a question than why was he sitting under the tent.
Correct.
Like I think
Well,
that's
in Texas,
easily
you know, in
answerable.
Texas,
Why
a
was he
storm
carrying a
can
knife?
come
Is
from-
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, William. I was
in
talking.
Texas, in Texas, Crishaun, you know, a storm can come from nowhere and it just be a nice day, and all of a sudden it's raining real heavy, and then it'll last for about 10 minutes or so. So that happens. But the responsibility of leaving the house with a weapon and you're on a school grounds, that's going to kill you. I think the defense is taking the wrong route on this. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think they should have brought this activist to try to paint the picture of a race card and victimhood. And I don't think that was a good move.
Yeah. No, it's
Right.
definitely not making me more sympathetic to Carmelo's
And
side,
your
his
daughter
family.
not being able to sleep, and hey, come on, I don't. As well as dying in his brother's arms, that's the same thing. I don't want to know anything about what your daughter is having nightmares about or whatever.
Right. Right.
I don't think that was responsible. I just don't think it's a good defense. That's going to come up in the hearings or the proceedings that will be coming up. You know, what was your intent? You were going to go to all these things. You're going to go to intent. What was your intent bringing the knife on the campus?
To the track meet.
Mm-hmm. What is your intent to bring this guy? What is his name at the press conference?
Dominique Alexander.
Yeah, Minister
Okay, so
Dominique Alexander.
Minister.
What is your
Say his
intent for painting this picture of self-defense when this is the state of Texas? He won't be. He will be tried as an adult, but he will not be eligible for the death penalty.
Oh.
Okay. Now, this is probably
Can I
a few
jump in
good
there real quick?
questions. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to tell you why, because it's actually kind of a smart defense, because they know that even a lot of right wingers, like, we're very protective over self-defense. So there's a lot of people that will defend that just based on the self-defense. I'll be honest. I even that's how I arrived at the point that I'm at, where I was like, okay, let me look at this from a self-defense standpoint.
Yeah.
And it's like very, very weak of a case. I mean, there's a possibility based on a jury that they could maybe get it because there was a confrontation, but that's where I'm saying people are willing to look at it a little harder because it's self-defense. But sorry, continue, William.
Well, I think they might be taking a big risk of having him spend the rest of his life in jail. I think they're rolling the dice, or by painting this narrative of self-defense. It's not. I don't think it's what I'm saying, Crishaun, is I don't think that's going to work out for them. More than maybe they should be more sympathetic and be quiet and try to push for manslaughter, but keep this justifying the actions out of it, because I don't think that was a good move of bringing that having that press conference. And I didn't, okay, the lady, she's crying and all of that, and I didn't even really fall for that, because I just want to make it myself. Do I really think that my father would allow my mother to get on national TV and speak about me killing somebody? I think in my defense, legally, I think he would have been, if anybody speaking, it would have been him instead of her. Second, I don't think he would probably even get on TV if I was guilty of first-degree murder or facing first-degree murder charges.
Yeah, the family should lay low, really.
Lay really low.
Yeah.
He does not come from a two-parent home like they're trying to paint.
Oh, really?
First.
Why do you say that?
It's because her last name is different from his. That's the new husband, the real father. For some reason, they do not want to show him.
Ah, interesting.
Is that so? Where'd you get this?
From the press conference when they introduced him.
Oh.
They did not introduce her with the same surname as him, as the kid.
Oh.
So this bozo that you seen standing there with the bow tie, that probably, I guess that's her new husband.
Well, that's
not a two-parent home.
That's not necessarily true, though, because we know black folks will stay together for 20 years and not get married.
That could be true, too. But if that
I'm
ain't
just
that
saying, I'm
boy's
just throwing
daddy,
it out there of
Crishaun,
what's
is it
plausible.
fair? Is
What's
it
up?
fair? If that ain't your daddy, real father, you don't qualify to say I come from a two-parent home. That's your stepdaddy.
I mean, it's still technically a two-parent household.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
it's
not-
If somebody that's
No,
gonna
no,
raise you, but don't try to.
I'm with
think
you
it's
if this
risky
is
to
true.
paint that.
I get where you're coming
I'm not
from.
with
It's not
it
his
if you
real
try to
father.
paint that. Well, let's say he did take care of him since he was a baby, and he's his stepfather. My hat's off to you. But in this kind of situation, to try to paint that, no.
Yeah,
But
because
yes,
children
the name was different. The name was different than his.
Kayla Hayes is, I guess,
Yeah.
Carmelo
You
Anthony.
might be right, William. I'm not saying you're
I
wrong.
don't think I would allow my wife to even say anything. If anybody gonna say something in that situation, it's gonna be me, and it's gonna be limited, very, very little. And if I'm gonna help my son's defense, I think I would have more compassion for the family of the victim. That would help my son in maybe getting a manslaughter. But I think the route that they're taking, Crishaun, they're taking a risk because they're going to. Go ahead.
They're honestly, though, in today's America, and they may be just looking at it wrong because America has sort of shifted a little bit, but there's the reason why they kicked the father out of the press conference is because once they show oh wait, there is actually some kind of unity and these two families.
They didn't want him to do that because I think that's what he was trying to do, Crishaun.
Yes.
Really, I mean, you're going to a press conference with a bunch of blacks.
I'm sorry to cut you off, William, but that's why honestly I do have to kind of respect the father in a way because
me too.
Whatever he is, you can say though that he isn't trying to play this racial game, and I'm with him on that.
He's trying to keep that out of it.
He's trying to keep it out of it, and I think that's why he showed up to the press conference. But Carmelo's family is like, wait a minute, that's all we have though.
This is why I mean it's a typical black versus white thing, because it's typical of whites to either roll over or fight back all puffed up, and it's typical of blacks to go crazy.
And it
just
didn't
be
become
shameless.
a racial thing. It didn't become a racial thing until after somebody lost their life.
You might be right. I don't know. You could be right. Thank you, William. I got to keep it moving. Great call. Thanks for the info.
I think they should keep it lay low. And then, James, you need to look into self-defense, because I think you don't get to automatically claim that. They're painting that picture for his case. Now,
Right.
if you look up I think self-defense, it has to be something like you have to be at life-threatening situation and you bring the same amount of force back to your perpetrator.
Yep, I know.
And if you look it up, and I think they're trying to roll with that, but I think they're taking a risk of him losing the case and getting 99 years.
Yeah, but it's also contextual in the fact of like that, and that's why I keep bringing up that he didn't start the fight. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
he's gonna be found not guilty because he didn't start the fight, because he still did go overboard with
Right.
it. The
Right.
point is
No,
that it's still though
Before
the
I
fact
get
that
off, you're
wait,
right.
wait, let me
you're
just
right
say this
about
real quick, William, real quick. The
Mhm.
fact that he may have not started the fight may be a factor into the trial or even the sentencing. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
people need to understand that that's an important part of the case itself. But go ahead.
And
Say-
and I've always heard, and this thing is not working for the last 6 years. Blacks are always saying, "Touch me and see what happens," and don't touch me. They don't even want police officers touching them, and I just don't think that's going to help his case in the long run. But you always have to think about the fact that okay, do you have a situation of force? Was your life threatened? Because
Nope.
you can only bring that level if that's the case, correct?
That's right. Thank you, William.
So
I got to
they might
run.
Take it easy.
All right.
All
Take
right.
care.
All right, William. Good call, man.
Okay. A few super chats. Otherwise, I will never get to them. Okay. Let me. Oh, yeah. I screenshotted them to go through them more quickly, and hopefully that pulls up better. Gregatron with a couple of coffees. Your show has been really good lately. That's kind, Gregatron. Great calls yesterday. Yeah, yesterday I went 3 hours because Joel Friday wasn't live. Joel Friday will be live coming up next. I really like that new caller, Alan from Michigan. He always brings positivity and kindness. He reminds me of your old caller, Rick, the truck driver. He used to always say, "America runs by trucks." Remember him? Also, great call from Rick yesterday, too. Yeah, you and the callers really bringing light. It's amazing. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Carver says, "Hey, Hake, amazing show yesterday, Tuesday. Glad to see you finally caved to the audience demands and given us that third hour. Obviously, now we expect it and we'll feel cheated by anything less. Anyway, you notice a wild narrative groupthink on this Carmelo-Anthony story? It's like the memo went out all the Into the Black thing callers have the exact same view. Yeah, all of a sudden, I don't know if you've picked up on this, Crishaun the Don, but I've noticed the blacks are saying, all of a sudden, they're saying, wait and see. Let's wait and see. Let's find out all the facts.
Right.
And it's very unusual to hear that from the blacks. They act like they know.
Yeah, and I'm
go ahead.
starting to see the same like the echo chambers on both sides, because then you can do the same thing now with it. And that it just annoys me because white people weren't like this before.
Yeah. No, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's just not. Yeah,
I think
you can't have a reasonable conversation with anybody on this case.
I'm surprised you're calling Matt Walsh and a race hustler. I haven't seen what Matt Walsh has said, though. But anyway, let me finish Carver's chat. I think the mass hive mind effect is the most interesting thing about the whole story. I agree, man, Carver. Although I do enjoy the using Justice for Carmelo as a fun dog whistle. And he gave me a pithy cover of the Hake Report theme song for my enjoyment. I checked it out. Thank you, Carver. I may be playing that later. Craig says, yes, he did get stabbed for being white. Hey, tell this guy I said stop hiding behind this anti-white pretexts. These anti-white pretexts. Says Craig, the man. Just a
Again,
little
Craig,
chat.
I've been through this already with the blacks. I was called anti-black for just speaking facts. So if you have a factual argument against anything I said, then call in. I implore you to call in.
There is one line open, 1-888-775-3773. I'm going to try to plow through all you guys. Thank you. Thank you, Craig. I don't know if he got stabbed for being white, but the whiteness of the guy may have been may have been. I can't read the guy's mind. Pastor Shadowley, monthly supporter on Rumble. Thank you, man, as always. Animus says, just punish the blacks harshly and don't use two sets of standards within the population. Give them HE double toothpicks, hell. Right back. That's how human beings learn, no matter the race. That's how apes learn even. Happy belated Easter, Hake. Great to catch your show. Thank you, Animus. Yeah, I think justice should be swift and just. And it's not swift, nor is it just nowadays. I don't think that the justice system is trustworthy, but we'll see.
I agree. When you're basing a case, like a verdict of a case, on anything that's outside of the evidence of the case.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, oh, well, he grew up with in a poor neighborhood, so who cares?
Right. Totally.
I did too. Didn't kill anybody.
Popcorn tells a story. Popcorn's a thump keg. He always has these stories. A white woman was baking a chocolate cake. Her son dipped his hand into the chocolate frosting, smeared it on his face, and said, "Look, Mom, I'm black." His mother slapped him, pow, and said, "Go tell your father what you said." He goes to his father and says, "Look, Dad, I'm black." His father slapped him, pow, and says, "Go tell your grandfather what you said." He goes to his grandfather and says, "Look, grandfather, I'm black." His grandfather slapped him, pow, said, "Now go back there with your mother." Little boys go back into the kitchen with his mother and says, "Now, Timmy." And she says, "Now, Timmy, what have you learned today?" He looks at his mother's and says, "I realize I've been black for 5 minutes and I already can't stand you people." Whoa.
Wow.
The white guilt is terrible for the whites. That's funny. Interesting. Now you understand us, Popcorn.
You know what? That's actually kind of very what is the word I'm looking for? Prophetic.
It's meta.
Meta. Yeah, because it's like the kid was actually getting smacked because he was being racist.
Right.
But
but now he's saying he's smacked because he's black.
Because he's black.
That's so funny.
I don't know
clever.
if that's the point of the story. But
I don't know either. I'm surprised it came from Popcorn. That's funny. Ronnie, so now he hates white people. Yeah. It's no wonder that blacks hate white people because whites are so weak like that, kissing up. And then they're reacting with the anger, too. That's also nasty and ugly, too. Ronnie from Ohio, my brother Hake. I'm unable to call in today, but I wanted to shout out Crishaun for providing his perspective on the stabbing situation. Big respect, salute emoji. Nice. That's cool.
Thank you,
Yeah, Ronnie in Ohio is a black guy who doesn't like when whites fall for this anti-black thing. And nice.
I don't think he falls necessarily for the black thing, does he?
He's kind of hit and miss. He thinks Obama was good. I don't know if it has anything to do with Obama being black or if he's just, I don't know, these black intellectuals. He's sort of an intellectual. But
let's just say Ronnie tries.
Yeah, for sure.
He tries.
Yeah. I consider him a friend of the show, a friend of Bond.
Nice.
So, nice. Thank you, Ronnie. Let's see.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Daisy. Wow. Hake really fell off. Sad, says Daisy. Wow, what'd I do, Daisy? Nice to hear from you, Daisy1350, with a super chat. Thank you for the super chat, though. Yeah,
she's $1 like you're a bum.
I don't think she likes you, Crishaun.
All right.
Crishaun just beat Mark, says Chris, like a red-headed stepchild. Lord have mercy. Sideways laughing emojis with tears coming out. I don't know. I think they both made fair points. I was all right. And they also made, I don't know. I felt like you're going overboard with calling people race hustlers. And I feel like he's going overboard with, I forget what. But I thought that it was fair for him to be like, he should get the death penalty. I don't know if he should or shouldn't. But maybe. I'm not against him getting the death penalty. Although what you said.
Well, my point on that was that he was just making an emotional decision because he doesn't even know that you can't give a minor the death penalty.
Right, but on principle, should you be able to give a minor, a 17-year-old, say, because that's a young man, the death penalty? On principle, aside from the law, because he's talking on principle, I don't really have a beef with. I don't really hold that against him at all. Not knowing that's why he was calling it legal garbage.
I'm up in the air. Yeah, I guess the Supreme Court is legal garbage.
Yeah, the
Unless
so-called Supreme Court. Give me a break.
Unless it decides something he likes. That's
Right. That's how I am.
Right.
Thank you, Chris. But yeah, that's funny. You beat him like a stepchild. And I think that's...
I'll be more humble than that. I like Mark.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, Mark's fun to talk to.
A solid guy. And he, I feel like he tries to be fair. Some people, they can't help but be a little unfair when they're caught up.
Well,
Okay.
The thing I like about Mark too is he doesn't like he'll still not be like fully emotional where he loses complete control.
Right.
Like, let me make my point. And he'll go, okay. Go ahead.
Exactly. Okay, so I think we're caught up on those coffees. Thank you guys and the super chats. Alex in California on hold here for Crishaun the Don. What's up, Alex? Thank you for calling and holding, man.
Alice.
What's up, guys? How you both doing?
Doing well.
Good, Alex. How are you?
Oh, no, let me put you on hold, man. You might have to hang up and call back. Alex in California. His phone is worse than I've ever heard it. Check on him. Thank you. Jeff
from Venus?
Jeff in Louisiana. Jeff, thank you for calling. What's up, man?
Hey, man, I called in Monday and mentioned the breaking bond thing with a convicted felon, Dominic
Alexander. Yeah, you said he's a convicted felon?
Yeah.
I know he has some type of rap sheet, something like that.
I actually have his rap sheet if you want me to.
Okay, nice.
He shook a baby. Our reporter's still in the car, and the report car stolen and all kinds of other crap. But I don't know how true it is. You hear rumors, and everything here on the internet's pretty much rumor.
Right.
Yesterday, I saw a video of Charles White that said his daddy's a felon.
Say who is a felon?
And his daddy's a felon.
Carmelo-Anthony's what is a felon?
Daddy?
Is a
felon.
Yeah.
Oh, his real father, his blood father, or his stepfather? Or
I'm not sure. I didn't know his stepfather.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't even know that there's a stepfather, but William from California pointed out the mother seems to have a different last name, Hayes, Kayla Hayes or something, versus Carmelo-Anthony, her son.
Maybe the real father's in prison.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting point.
Yeah,
go ahead.
That's where you get food stamps benefits, to be honest.
Oh. Say again? What's to get food stamps and benefits?
I said that should be to get food stamps and benefits, to be single.
Yeah, I mean, that's been common for decades to have a baby and be a single mother.
Have the father live in the home, but they don't get married so they can collect benefits.
Yeah.
Yes. I was just about to say that. You're right.
Because I'll tell you what, I've done a lot.
Don't make it appear that their house.
Man, I
hear. They'll make it appear. Yeah, I know. It's the delay. They make it appear that they don't have a man around the house, so that in case somebody comes and
that's still happening to this day.
Yeah,
man.
It's scamming.
And you go into people's houses, they got their kids' day, they're playing a brand new PS5 or Xbox or whatever, with a brand new car sitting outside, and they get food stamps and Section 8 housing.
Yeah. Interesting, man.
We're still having babies just to get higher tax checks. Like that's still happening. It's crazy.
What a mess.
You know what they call that? Like the benefits they get on, each kind of like Comcast, and everybody else offers, cheaper internet when you on benefits. You know what they call that, don't you? The black community. What do they call that?
What do they call it?
Food stamp Wi-Fi.
Literally, you've heard them refer to it as that?
Yeah, I call people and say, okay, this is Jeff. No, Jeff, I'm going to work the internet. Because you're going to fix on food stamp Wi-Fi? I guess that's what they're called as well.
We got to defund these single mothers. I'm telling you, man. It's not good.
It's just hilarious. That's what they call it, food stamp Wi-Fi.
Right on. It's like their Obama phone and their food stamp Wi-Fi. Nice.
Well, there's one other thing we can real quick. I don't remember what it was.
Go ahead.
Man, I'm trying to think. I can't remember what it was. I don't want to hold you up. I know y'all on the call. Thank you.
All right.
People want to talk to you. So, let's go, man.
Sounds good. Take care, Jeff. In
All
Louisiana.
right, Jeff.
Appreciate that guy. Is
That's a cool one, right?
Yeah, that is. Is
Oh, okay,
Alex
okay.
from California ready, Derek, there? Let me try him just to see. I saw him pick up with him. Alex, you there?
Hey, can you hear me or what?
Yeah, much better. Way better. Thanks.
Nice.
I didn't do anything different. Did my subject already get covered?
No, it didn't.
Yeah, so that's a big deal. I know Crishaun's pretty cemented in his ideas and stuff, but we're missing. If what I'm saying is true, we're missing a huge part of it. I heard from one of your competitors that 70 phones were seized by the police.
Had you heard that? Police seized 70 cell phones, 70?
Is that even legal with the Fourth Amendment?
That unlawful search and seizure. I don't know. When a murder is taking place, I don't know.
Evidence, they can consider it evidence, I guess.
Were they forced to take it, or could they have declined surrendering their phone?
That detail I don't have. All I know is from one of your competitors, they claim that at least 70 people's phones were seized.
Wow.
Honestly,
on the scene, at the scene, or later.
I don't have that detail either. That's why I don't know if it's true. But the person that's saying it is not a faker.
Okay, interesting, man.
Yeah, I did hear about that too, though. That they seized because there's supposedly a lot of video evidence of this.
I mean, there certainly could be at least like one or two, I would imagine, and then more, with the guy
really good points
laid out.
We're people are making assumptions or conclusions on emotion, but we don't even have the supposed evidence yet.
Yeah,
so.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And are you for that or against that? Because the court of public opinion, video evidence doesn't really help people arrive at the truth because people misjudge it all the time.
Well,
it's a tough one. I think in this case, for me, it's tougher. I never support people's phones getting seized. I don't think that's right at all.
Yeah.
Especially with kids, you're going to get into some, if those cops are going through those kids' phones and pictures and stuff,
right? Who
knows what's going to happen? That just sounds like grounds for some bad things to happen.
Yeah.
This is also the second time I've heard this happen. I don't know if you guys remember last year, there was a Miami mall incident where there was like hundreds of cops that came to the mall, and it was supposedly like kids like setting off fireworks or something. Do you guys remember that at all?
I remember that.
I've heard of different mall incidents, but I don't remember that one.
It was taken over by like the conspiracy people, and they said it was like aliens and stuff.
Oh.
Yes.
You got to remember that. But that's the other time I've heard of police seizing phones from people on the scene, and I don't know. I find it hard to believe with the Fourth Amendment, but I mean, if it is part of a investigation, I guess. But how are you going to get like more than 10 people to give their phones up? That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, your phone is your life for a lot of these people.
Well,
and even if you're not doing weird stuff on your phone, just the police having access to it. The police are corrupt as heck.
Yeah,
who knows what's going to happen? I just don't agree with that, especially when it comes to kids. But it's tough with this one because it's a murder. So
right.
So are you? Let me ask you a question.
I'm in a rush, but I wanted to agree with Mark and you slightly with the. I think it should be more of an eye for an eye thing. People who murder, I think, should get the death penalty. But it's a principle thing. It's not like a white-black thing to me, like Crishaun was saying.
Okay. Right on. Do you have time for a brief question from Crishaun, Alex?
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Crishaun, the Don.
Honestly, what he just said made me forget my question.
Oh, okay.
Because he changed the subject, and I thought of something else. But yeah, never mind.
Right on, Alex. Appreciate the info.
Alex, thank you.
If true, interesting. Thanks, man.
Yeah, maybe something to look into.
Yeah. Take care.
All right, have a good one.
All right. You too.
Well, question two. What would that is that like implying that there's evidence that Karmelo, I don't know what, was being racial or something, and then the police seized the phones to protect him? Is that kind of what's being implied in that whole thing?
With
Or
that,
is it
I
just-
have no idea. I don't. It doesn't make me go to any particular conclusion, other than that. The more out of control society gets, the less freedom and privacy and ability to have nice things the rest of us get. You know how like
yeah, just them seizing people's phones in general.
Yeah.
Like how Alex was just saying, it's more of a Fourth Amendment issue than it is like.
And
'cause
Fourth
I'm just-
Amendment is a ban on unlawful search and seizure. Is that what that
Search and
Fourth Amendment
seizure.
is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a privacy potential violation, or we don't really have privacy, but we wish we did, and the police are have more and more of an excuse to violate that, and they want to. The police, like a lot of police, are for gun registration and gun confiscation to make their jobs easier, so that we're less ability to defend ourselves or fight against them. Not that we would, but some people do. And so they're for the public being disarmed and helpless to them. For their
I
own.
also do
Go ahead.
think a lot of those like laws are more based on like if the evidence is incriminating yourself, you're not obligated to help the police with their investigations. Now, I think if it's like, I guess there is a level of like certain things you do need warrants for, even if you're just trying to obtain some kind of evidence or something like that. So I don't know how it works in terms of at the scene. I'm sure there's also people that willingly gave up their stuff, like to help in the case.
True. Yeah.
And a lot of the times they're not keeping your phone for long. They're just like copying what they need off of it, and then let's hope that's
I don't know how they even get in the phones, because I remember there was a terrorist's iPhone and Apple would not let the police or feds into the iPhone because they knew that they would get in trouble with the privacy people. So they had to get like a warrant, and it was a whole rigmarole to give up some terrorist from years ago into his phone. I don't know if it's easier to get into the phones now or what.
Well, I work with the police, and whenever we catch somebody and they're like, "Oh, I need this number out of my phone," the police will do it for them.
Oh, okay.
And they have to ask them, "Can I touch your phone?"
Yeah.
They'll pick it up. "Can you give me the code?" They don't let them put the code in themselves. They give them the code so that they could type it in.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
What a mess.
It's a safety thing too, because they don't want the person like dialing a number real quick and saying, "Hey, I'm here, come and get me."
Right.
And then their people come and shoot up the police.
What a mess.
So, yeah. There's a lot of protocol with it.
Yeah. Let's get to William in California, who's on the line over here, and plow through the rest of these calls. What's up, William? Number 7 in California.
You are correct, Hake. And hello, Don. I don't really know who you are.
Crishaun.
Oh, sorry.
William.
Crishaun. Sorry. So you guys have made a comment about if they had the ability to supposed to take those 70 cell phones, and the fact that it died in it, so that was a potential homicide, that you cannot interfere with the investigation of any crime, and especially capital crime when it comes to murder or death. And so they actually have that ability, and that would actually, the word warrant comes from it is warranted to get those cell phones and basically get to the bottom of it and get to the truth. And so that's why that's like that. Now, the fact that there's 70 cell phones,
if that's true, I don't know.
Well, sure, but that's and they might have just talked to everybody in the whole area around the track meet. I mean, you go to a high school, if it was on the weekend, I would imagine there was more than 70 people with cell phones out because they're filming their kids. So they're probably trying to find stuff that led up to it. And I doubt there's 70 people in that tent. But the fact that if you're not willing to give up your phone, what are you trying to hide? Because unless they plead out, then that's when discovery gets closed. I believe that is correct. So
I think that it could be just an intimidation thing because they don't probably technically even have to release the phone until there's a warrant. I mean, whatever it looks like, you may, for any reason, not want to.
Well, I promise you a warrant was obtained within 24 hours once it hit the news, and all of America knew about it.
Yeah.
So the judge the next morning is going to know about it and issue a warrant because it's warranted. Somebody died.
Yeah.
A kid died at a high school.
True.
So,
terrible.
I would say that was warranted.
Yeah, that's fair.
So So I just wanted to talk on that. That's about it. I'll let you go and start cruising through the calls.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for educating me.
William, number 7. And Robert in Kansas on the line here. Robert had priority from yesterday. Man, Robert, thank you for calling and holding. Go ahead.
Oh, wow, Hake, this is priority? My goodness.
With Crishaun the Don. I just remembered I just barely remembered you were the last one on hold, but I just remember now. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, Hake, I hope you stop being fat, man. I really wish you well.
Thank you.
Now, for the situation that we're talking about today, I would just say that the black guy started it. I keep hearing your guests say that the white guy started it. No, the black guy started it. And if you don't understand that, well, it's the same thing. Like, let's say, similar scenario. I'll use a story. It's raining real hard, and I run up under your overhang on your front stoop, and I'm just standing there. Right? This is your space. This is your lot. Now, you might say, well, that's a private residence. That's different. But if I invade your space and you say, hey, can you get off my porch? And I say, touch me, and I, see what happens. Then you push me off your porch and I stab you to death. Okay? I invaded your space. Okay, they had a designated space. We could use.
I'm with you. I think that Karmelo started it by being in the wrong place, and then this Austin, he took the initiative and took it a step further. You could call it starting it, but Karmelo started it by being in the wrong place, and Austin took the second step, which you can debate whether he should have taken it or how he should have taken it. But I'm with you, Robert. Go ahead.
Would they have interacted had Austin not confronted him about being in the wrong tent?
No.
Well, let's say a more public place for an example. If I go into Bond, right, I actually drive out to California. I show up at Bond because I want to go to Jesse's church, right? So I show up. I introduce myself. Hake finds out who I am, and Hake's like, Jesse, trespass this guy right now. Robert's crazy. Get him out of here, right? And so Jesse's like, yeah, trespass him. So the security guard's not there. So Joel walks up to me, and Joel's like, hey, Robert, sorry, man. And I'm like, oh, hey, Joel, because, Joel's kind of a bigger guy. He's very physically capable. And he's like, no, man, you got to leave. And, he puts his hand on my shoulder just to say, hey, bro, sorry, but Jesse said you got to leave. And then I stab him in the heart, right? Because he put his hand on my shoulder. He touched me.
Again,
he touched me, right? So now I killed Joel.
It's not comparable because you're talking about private property. That's a whole.
You're not a
thing.
lawyer, are you, Crishaun?
No.
It's a designated space. Okay, you have a invader. They have spies. It's sports. It's taken seriously. You can have a spy in there.
Why are you pretending that a school tent is like an army base? Like there's a high security clearance to get in. And
did you ever do sports? Did you ever do team sports though, Crishaun?
Yeah, and a lot of the times the school events are very disorganized. Like, all right, if you were to say like him being under the wrong tent, sure, that's fine. But if you're gonna pretend that people like at school events don't just kind of go wherever at points, like I've been at school events where once it's over or before it begins, people are just kind of sitting wherever until it's like, okay, we're starting. Let's all go to where we need to be. Like,
right,
so,
but wherever does not include we've been over this, but it doesn't include the opposite team's tent. It's so like a attitude having black guy to do that, entitled attitude having black guy to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, but again, we're talking about it warranting a physical response, which is what all the stories are saying, is that it got physical, and it was Austin.
But who started the physical aspect of it is a different question from Austin going up to him and talking to him, and then starting a physical thing doesn't even. It's normal to shove a guy, especially in high school, especially at track, when somebody's where he doesn't belong.
Yeah, but then that same guy could like literally like punch you in the face, and then you fall on the ground and hit your head on the concrete, and you die that way.
Right,
like,
but that guy would be wrong for punching you because he was in the wrong place, and you had the right to. You almost have the right to shove a guy who's under your tent.
No, you don't. That's ridiculous.
You're
in your
right.
house, maybe. If you're
but you almost do.
Property.
You shouldn't. You're right. You shouldn't. It's unwise. But go ahead.
This is where we need the context of how did the confrontation go? Yeah. How did they start the confrontation?
What's funny is we don't need anything. This doesn't have anything to do with us. It's just that people are caught up because of the race thing and the ego thing, and we want to get to the bottom of it just for vanity. But I'm with Robert. He kind of started it by being one of those people where he didn't belong.
Let's reverse the races.
Uh-huh.
A white kid goes and sits under a tent because it's raining, and a bunch of black kids come and confront him and tell him to move and physically touch him.
A white kid would never do that. It's not like a white to do that.
But then you would also have to put it in the same context of like, well, what the white kids I wouldn't expect to be the ones to gang up on a black kid. I think that's more of a black thing.
Right. Unless it's a white young man who's just trying to be a man and be the man of the situation and take control of the situation and protect his tent mates.
Let me ask you a question then. What would you say if I said Austin confronted Karmelo because he was black?
It might be.
Okay.
It might be because we know how blacks are oftentimes, especially the type of black who would be in your space where he doesn't belong. That just sends signals, warning signs. Something's going off in your head. That could well be because he was black, and that type of black that has I'm here where I don't belong and do something about it attitude. I'm assigning all these things to these people. I have no idea what was in either of their minds, but also, I could totally imagine that happening.
When you go to a sporting event, you know who the competitors are because they're all dressed a certain way. So you can sort of context that together, unless Karmelo is wearing something else. But like you could put that together and go, okay, wait, he's the track runner. He's just under the wrong tent. Okay, wait a minute, it's raining. Maybe he's just sitting under the tent because it's raining.
Yeah.
Like there's the context is already there if that's what was going on. Like to me, it seems like maybe Austin could have, I don't know, he could have been looking for trouble.
Maybe. Yeah, we don't know.
Robert,
last word. Last word, Robert, in Kansas.
Oh, okay. Well, dang, man. So it's a designated space. The examples I gave, if you're not supposed to be there, you're asked to leave, you leave. Talking about it's raining, I mean, I don't know. This guy who's white that thinks he's black is obsessed with the race aspect. What a surprise. Right?
Who are you talking about?
The mental disorder that's your guest.
Oh, my guest. You think my guest is white and thinks he's black?
No, I think he's a mental case, is what he is. He's obviously.
I think you're an emotional woman about this because you're attached to the race of the victim.
And it's just
you're attached to the race of the victim.
I don't know what it is, but
you're like the angry black lesbians that started BLM.
What an idiot! So, all right, Hake, bye.
All right, bye. Take care.
There he goes. Run away.
Robert in
He
Kansas.
just wanted to get his insults in and run away like a little girl. That's all he wanted to do.
Dang.
Liberal.
Interesting. When are you live next, Crishaun the Dawn, as we start to wrap up before we get to any last calls or anything?
I will be doing a live stream tonight at around 8:30 on the Misfit Nation podcast on YouTube and X at the Misfit Nation.
Okay.
Dual
So
streaming.
YouTube and X.
Yeah, I dual stream on those for now. And then I'll be moving over to Rumble at the Misfit Nation on Rumble. Please get our help us get our numbers up so that when we do our first show, you'll be there.
And that's rumble.com/the Misfit Nation, or is it with the user /user/
I believe it's both because I have the channel and the user.
Yeah, the user has more videos than the channel because when you publish a video, you have to be mindful to. You can edit it actually afterwards to show up on the channel as well as the user account. The user has everything, and the channel has a limited amount. I'll post that in the chat.
Rumble is a little confusing because I didn't know which one to promote at first, and then I realized it's kind of the same.
If you do the channel, it'll go up on both, so it's the best of both worlds. If you select channel, in general.
Yeah, I assume that makes more sense when you have more than one channel. Like if you have a bunch of shows.
I know. Yeah, exactly. It's like a user and then one channel. Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah. You guys could probably do that. You got a bunch of different shows.
Yeah, but it's a little late for us to do that because we've already made different Rumble channels. It's a mess.
You made your own ones.
But shout out, Rumble. We knew you were trying their best.
They're trying. They're trying.
Okay, I have time for at least one more. Justin, who was also a priority from yesterday in California. Justin in Fullerton, I believe, California. What's up, man? Thank you. You're live with Crishaun the Dawn of the Misfit Nation.
Yes, sir. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking my call. Crishaun, I'll have to check out the Misfits. I haven't checked that out yet. But what do you think about this idea that you commit a crime and then the justice is that, a punishment, like a penalty for committing the crime is enacted? Do you feel it's fair when a person commits murder for the government to kill the person, or like, the Supreme Court rules, I think since 2005 that, minors can't get death penalty, certain circumstances, or do you think the capital punishment should be unanimously done? If of course the jury finds it fair. Or do you think that it's still justice and fair by way of not, enacting the death penalty to the murderer?
Wait, are you like, to simplify it, are you asking me if I believe in capital punishment? Like if I support it?
Yeah, across the board for all cases, like eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
I believe in definitely capital punishment for like, the extremes in terms of murder. You know what I mean? It's contextual. Okay. Like I'm for capital punishment though. Like just depends on the circumstances and context. Definitely for capital punishment for pedos, PDFs. I'm with you on if
the real life ones,
right.
Not the ones that are just 17-year-olds.
Yeah, the legit. Like,
yeah. Interesting.
The reason I ask that is because a lot of times people don't enact the death penalty for whatever the reasons are, and we have lots and lots of prisons here.
Yeah.
And it's like a prison planet. People continually are either in the system, know someone who's been in the system, but I don't really see a lot of justice happening. So, when Mark speaks, when I heard Mark earlier speak, I hear a lot of emotions, and there's a lot of people that take those emotions and run wild with it if justice doesn't get enacted. Like they start to believe that more of these things are going to happen.
Right.
And so setting the tone for this new year, to be fair in all instances, if pedos or whoever are on the list, when a child kills another child, you could try him as an adult, but clearly you touch me and then boom, see what happens, meant that he knew what he was going to do. He just hasn't showed you yet. And then it wasn't like he had a gun on him. I've had a gun on my chest before, and I didn't kill the guy. You know, I forgave him. I moved on, but I could have retaliated, but I didn't need it to save my life. I used my words, but whatever. Those situations aren't always happening. So since parents can't teach that, the government should definitely teach, you know, the people by way of an example. You know, either the death penalty is something that is fair in all instances for things like that, or it's not. You
know, I don't fully get what you're saying. Are you saying like the death penalty should be more like blanketed, like on
applied for basically all murder cases?
Yes, applied for all murder cases. So if you have a little child and you're trying him as a child, that's the only, I guess, exception. Otherwise, if it's somebody that's, you know, premeditated and can be tried as an adult, then I guess, you know, legally that falls under the grounds of eye for an eye. You know.
Interesting.
There's a thought.
Yeah.
You know, being fair is being fair.
Yeah, I
no
agree with
emotions about it.
Yeah, I agree with it, but you know, in the Bible, God didn't death penalty Cain, who killed Abel, right?
Yeah.
And so it seems like there's, and I don't know, maybe it should be applied. I definitely think it should be applied more frequently and more quickly. And that would be better. That would be better all around for all involved.
I find it very
weird.
I
think the world is. The world is watching how we do things in our country. You know, so the way that we say, oh, we want justice, we want democracy, fair, whatever. Well, it has to be in all cases. You know, and if you've ever had a gun pulled on you, you know what that's like. You're glad you lived through it.
Yeah.
But you know, that person was the judge, executioner, and jury, and so. If someone decides to take that matter in their own hand and say, I'm going to enact that on you, okay, so that person that person gets to live. That's the point. He or she gets to continue that their life, you know, because of that Cain and Abel thing or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. I kind of like what you're talking about with the being more consistent, for sure, man. I appreciate it, Justin in California. I got to run. Take care.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye. Oh, man, you got me with the click.
Yeah, I wish we could have had more time to respond to because he had a lot of like points I'd like to respond to, but we don't have time.
Yeah. Well, catch Crishaun the Don, thank you, man, of the Misfit Nation on his show. You could probably call in tonight, right? Or no?
Yeah, we'll open the phone lines. If you guys want to go back and forth about this or other topics.
That sounds good.
Or if you just want to tune in for a nice laugh.
That's right.
That's what it's about, making the people laugh. Entertainment.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Hake. I appreciate you for having me on, always.
Right on. Take care, guys. Joel Friday TV coming up next. Peace. In the Middle East. You know what? I better do this way. Let me do what this young man sent to me. Oh, boy. Will you look at that? Oh, that's what that is. Bye, guys. I think this is the one.
Got a song?
Yeah. This is from Carver. Oh, hold up. Let's crank it and then get out of here. Let's see how blasting this is. Take care, guys. La la la. Are you Hake enough? Oh, okay, cool. Oh, okay. Nice. Bye, guys. Terrible. Okay, well, I have 20 seconds. Peace.
Later.